guys, welcome back to Kisty Reads. Welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be talking about my September TBR. I'm so excited. TBR videos are among my favorite to record and to watch. I love seeing what everyone's watching and I like sharing what I'm going to read. And sometimes it even helps to get your opinion on like what is best to read next. And I'm having one of those dilemmas now. So I just finished the Throne of Glass series. I read all 7 of those books, I guess. I read Assassin's Blade a couple months ago. So I read the remaining 7 from this series this month and I just gobbled them up. I mean, I know that it's like one of those really hype series and I wanted to see if it would be something that I would like, and it was. I really enjoyed it for what it is. It's a young adult series, so it's definitely really popular here on BookTube and popular among some of the booktubers that I really enjoy watching. And yeah, so now I'm at a crossroads. I'm like, what series should I start next? It's September, it's fall, it's really rainy out today, even though it's the end of August, but fall is coming and I'm feeling like in a very fall mood, which means even more reading, which is amazing. And so I'm wondering like what series I should read next, and I have a few that I'm thinking about because I know once I start the first book, I'm gonna wanna dive into all of the rest of the books in the series instead of just like finishing one and starting another series. I'll just wanna read the entire series the whole way through. So there's a few that I'm thinking about reading. A couple of them I have in physical form and one of them I'm thinking of picking up in Kindle version just because my lovely library is getting very full and I'm running out of space for books, so I'm trying to get ebooks instead. So the first series I am debating reading after the Throne of Glass thrilling series is the Nevernight series by J. Kristoff. This is also a really popular one on BookTube, and it is about a female assassin, as far as I know, in kind of another high fantasy type of world. I don't know much more about this. I've heard really good things. I've also heard some not so great things about the author. However, I still want to read this series. It's similar to Throne of Glass, where you have like a badass assassin who's female, who's like just taking over the world, and I feel like this one will be similar. So let me know your opinions on this series. I know it's popular, so I know most of you have read it. And yeah, this is the next one I'm thinking of diving into in terms of a series. The next one is V.E. Schwab's A Darker Shade of Magic. Now this one is a different type of fantasy than what I'm feeling right now, but I have heard just so many great things about V.E. Schwab's writing and so many good things about this series that I feel like I need to dive in and read it because I just need to know what it is, what the hype is for. So there's that element of curiosity that I have with this one. But it seems like a really good series and I know it's like a favorite among BookTube. So if you guys like this one, think I should go for it, let me know, and maybe this is the next series that I'll start. The third series is A Court of Thorns and Roses, or A Court of Roses and Thorns. I don't remember the title. I'll pop it up here so you guys can take a look. But it's the other series that Sarah J. Maas has written, and it also has fae in it. And I'm really into the whole fae thing right now because Throne of Glass was full of fae, and I just feel like I need more of that in my life. So I'm thinking about picking that up in an ebook format. I know she currently has 4 books out for that series, but apparently the 4th book that recently came out is no bueno, but the first 3 are pretty good, and I've heard that that might be something that I want to explore next after reading that huge Throne of Glass series. So we'll see. I'm thinking about that one. I don't currently have it, but it's really enticing because there's fae and I want some more like fae in my life, and maybe some more like angsty fae, like romance and magic and power and court dynamics that I might be missing in the other series that I've talked about so far. So we'll see. If you guys have an opinion, obviously, of all these series that I'm talking about, let me know. I want to know. I wouldn't even mind putting it to a vote because I'm like curious to see what everyone has to say in terms of like what I should read next. The 4th series that I'm thinking of reading, so there's 4 that we can vote to, if you will, is the 100,000 Kingdoms series by N.K. Jemisin. N.K. Jemisin is, I'd say, a decently popular author on BookTube, not as much as some of the other ones that I just mentioned, but she's one of my favorite authors, so I know I'm gonna love her writing, and her world building, her character building is just always so intricately done, and I feel like she doesn't disappoint. So this one is tricky because even reading the synopsis, it's really hard to understand what this series is really about, which is pretty common in most of her series. You don't really understand the story until you get into it, and it is just that intricate. But I'll read the synopsis so you can kind of get a taste of what it's supposed to be. This is the first one in the trilogy, and I have all three, so I'll probably end up reading this pretty quickly. And they don't seem very long. I'd say like maybe 400 pages, but 400 pages that don't seem to be like too small a font. So this seems pretty reasonable. And I'll go ahead and read the synopsis to give you guys a taste of what this series will be about. So it says, at the top, New York Times bestselling and 3-time Hugo Award-winning author N.K. Jemisin weaves a tale of intrigue, betrayal, and passion in a kingdom above the clouds. And the synopsis goes, Yane Dar is an outcast from the barbarian north, but when her mother dies under mysterious circumstances, she is summoned to the majestic city of Skye. There, to her shock, Yane is named an heiress to the king, but the throne of the 100,000 kingdoms is not so easily won, and Yane is thrust into a vicious power struggle. So there's a lot of praise for this book on the back and in the pages, and again, the synopsis gives us kind of the skeleton of what it's gonna be, but not the full scope of everything that's gonna be in there. I know this is high fantasy, and I'm pretty sure there's magic in this, because how could there not be when there's a city in the sky? But I don't know how much I'm feeling reading this right now, but it's N.K. Jemisin and she's amazing. So that could be something that I need to explore. So yeah, let me know of the 4 series. So we have Nevernight, A Darker Shade of Magic, 100,000 Kingdoms, and A Court of Thorns and Roses, or Roses and Thorns. I still can't remember what the title is. But let me know which series you think I should go for next. I'm kind of leaning towards A Court of Thorns and Roses because I feel like that will be the most similar in getting to the vibe that I'm feeling right now, and I'll probably end up like gobbling all 3 of those books, so it might just be something really good. But then I'm very perplexed because these series also seem really good, and maybe it's time for me to explore another genre of fantasy, another genre of magic. So still kind of undecided. I'm probably gonna end up like mood reading in terms of what series next, or if someone gives me a really good recommendation of what series they really loved and what I should go for next, then I'll probably do that. So the book that I'm currently reading, I have an arc for that I got from NetGalley, and that's a book that's gonna be released on September 8th, and that is called The Master of Poisons by Andrea Hairston. This is, I think, a standalone fantasy, and I believe it's also in the young adult genre. I haven't read too much of it, but I do want to do a review on it this week, so look out for that coming out pretty soon. It seems really intriguing. I'm pretty sure it's about a land where the poison is eating up the land and everything is poisoned and things just aren't thriving the way they're supposed to be. So we have these 2 main characters that kind of go on a mission to save this. They each have their own personal missions, and I think they get turned into like unlikely heroes from what I understand from the story. And so that just makes their characters even more interesting to me, since unlikely heroes is like something I really do enjoy reading about. I think it's gonna be an interesting book and I can't wait. I'm so glad that I got the arc for this. I was waiting for it, I'd asked for it, and I think it's going to be amazing. I have really high hopes for this one, and I'm hoping that it rises up to my expectations. I'll probably be reading it this weekend, hopefully finishing it off. It's not too long. I think it's about 400 pages. And again, I have it as the ARC Kindle copy, so I'm really hopeful. If any of you guys have read it, okay, my camera died, but just to finish off that thought, if you guys have read Master of Poisons, or if you're interested in reading it, let me know. I'd love to hear any more thoughts on that book down below. The next couple books are not fantasy books. They're actually books that focus on learning, and they're nonfiction. The first one is The Dip by Sean Godin, and like the front says, it's a little book that teaches you when to quit and when to stick. It kind of teaches you when it's a good time to quit something and when you should keep going, and the secret to how to know when to keep doing something and when to quit it, which is something that I've always kind of struggled with, because I'm like, I never know when to give up or if I'm giving up too soon. So I think that this tiny little book will be helpful, and I kind of want to do a review on this because I think it will be really helpful to know if it's any good at what it's preaching, and if you guys should read it if you're in the similar situation where I am, where sometimes I feel kind of stuck in between like going for the next thing or sticking with what I already have. So I think it'll be good, and I think it'll be really interesting, and I've heard some pretty decent things about this. The last book that I'm gonna talk about and that I'm starting to read is called Super Life by Darren Olean. Now, as many of you may have also watched, I watched Down to Earth with Zac Efron, where him and Darren go around the world to check out sustainability and also diets and things like this, how people live around the world that isn't in a more mainstream society like the one we have. And it was really interesting. It's on Netflix if you guys haven't heard of it and want to check it out and are interested in nutrition and travel and culture and sustainability. It's really, really interesting. And Darren is really into superfoods and diet and nutrition, and I just thought it would be really interesting to pick up his book and see what he has to say, because I know that he's a nutritionist and a trainer by trade, and so he's amassed this nickname as the superfood hunter, which is really cool. He talks a lot about all the micronutrients you need and like what the best ways to get them. So I'm intrigued by this book. I haven't read a lot of books about nutrition, so this will be like the first one that I check out, and it'll be really interesting to kind of explore what he has to say and to see if it has an impact on me. I know that he's done a lot of experimenting with different foods and how they make his body feel, and I'm actually doing that currently, where I'm experimenting with different foods and how they make me feel and how they impact my life and just my energy levels. So I feel like his philosophies might really resonate with me. If you guys are curious or interested or doing anything similar in your lives, let me know. I might even review this one because I think it'll be really interesting to kind of go into what he talks about and give pillars of what he's talking about. And then if you want to know more about the details, you can read it on your own. So that is it for my September TBR. It is a little bit undecided and somewhat ambitious, but I think it'll be a really good month, and hopefully I'll get into some interesting series and some interesting nonfiction books that I've been meaning to read. If you liked this video, please click the like button down below, and please subscribe to my channel because that really helps support my channel and produce new content for you guys every week. Thank you!